I'm Miss and I made math in second grade.
And then Miss Aguilar.
My name is Adelaida Basalduan Mendez. My son is Tadeo Aguilera.
Okay. We also have a teacher named Miss Aguilar.
Hi. Hi, I am Mrs. Aguilar, and I teach second grade math, science, and social studies.
And then we also have Miss Mulvey on the call. Miss Mulvey, are you able to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, Miss Mulvey here. I teach reading, and we're so excited to have you guys and talk about all the amazing things your students are doing.
We have a lot to get through tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and get the ball rolling. You should be able to see subtitles in Spanish on the bottom of your screen, but if that is not the case, I'm going to walk you through some steps to be able to get those subtitles up and running step by step. So, if you are using a desktop app version of the Microsoft Teams, you can turn on live captions in the language of your choice. You're going to click on the more menu on the three dots that you see. Select the language and speech option and turn on live captions. Language and speech. And then, oh, sorry. I'm going to give you a second to follow those steps if you need to. Okay.
Hi, everyone. So in tonight's presentation, you will get a snapshot of what our students experience with their winter FAST benchmark. You will also see how your child performed on this assessment. We will go over how to read these reports, and we will go over some ideas on how to help your child at home. So you will need your child's performance report packet. It is a packet that went home and it has a pink cover sheet on it. You will also need a pencil. And we just ask you kindly to mute yourself. And if you have any questions, we will get to them at the end of our presentation. So we're going to give you a couple minutes to find this packet if you don't have it. Again, it's a stapled packet that has a pink sheet on top of it.
There's a lot of information represented in these packets, but we're going to walk you step by step through each of the colors and dots and data that's displayed on these sheets so that you will feel confident in knowing what your child is showing.
Your child has taken 2 FastBridge tests so far. They took one at the beginning of the school year in August, and then we recently took one in January. And they have one more that's going to be at the end of the school year in May.
Yep. And this is the FastBridge assessment is something that the students will take every year. So it's not just a second grade test. They're tested every year and they're able to compare their scores from year to year. The purpose of these FastBridge tests are to check every student's performance, taking their temperature, so to speak, at least 3 times a year. In schools, screenings are sometimes known as universal screening, benchmark screening, or universal benchmark screening. These terms all mean the same thing and involve testing all students with the brief measures to identify which ones might need more help.
So, like Ms. Johnson said, they will continue to take these tests, and this is what is covered in the second grade assessment. So, it will vary by grade from kindergarten, first, second, all the way up to fifth grade. Their tests vary, but For second grade, we test their CDM reading. In that, students will read 3 passages in their time for 1 minute. They will also take a reading. This is on the computer on their own. This tests their foundational skills, language, reading literature, and their informational reading. And in math, they test number and operations, counting, and Ms. Johnson?
Cardinality.
Thank you.
If you don't know what that means, I don't quite know what it means either.
I don't teach math, so but it goes over their counting, operations and algebraic thinking, number and operations in base 10, measurement and data, and their geometry skills. Thank you.
Yep. What is A reading and A math? So A reading and A math are simple and efficient procedures for screening students' broad reading and math abilities. The assessment is based on research and questions are aligned to the standards. A reading and A math are computer adaptive tests, and students respond to between 30 and 60 questions on each testing occasion. These screeners are administered 3 times per year for all students in grades 2 through 12. So it is an adaptive test, which means that it allows for us to see a range of test items that go as low as 2 grade levels below and 2 grade levels above their currently assigned grade. So if your student is really mastering this test and doing really well, it's going to give them more challenging questions to accurately determine what their knowledge level is. If they're struggling with the test questions, the questions will become easier for them, so that we can get an accurate representation of what they really know. So we're able to assess those scores and pinpoint where we need to fill in gaps or where we need to advance their learning. The student skill report in your packet will identify those specific areas that your child mastered, is developing, or future skills to prepare for.
A reading and A math are the tests that your child takes on their own on their computer. Like Ms. Johnson said, it's adaptive, so all students will have similar but different questions just based on what they know. In A reading, it looks at their foundational skills, language, reading, literature, and informational reading. And then on the computer A math test, it goes over their number and operations. I'm just gonna say counting. Operations and
Sounds great.
algebraic thinking, number and operations in base 10, measurement and data, and their geometry. So again, these are the tests that they will take on the computer on their own.
And then for A math, all of those bullet points that you see there, those are all just standards that we're covering in class and what we've learned so far. So unless your student is really answering all those questions correctly, they're not going to be tested on things that they have not learned.
Yes, and same for reading. We also review foundational skills in the classroom, their language, their reading literature. We go over informational text. This is stuff that they are getting in class, and it builds on skills that they have learned in kindergarten and first grade.
Right. And then, so if you open your past the pink page of your packet, you're going to see a page that looks like this. There's going to be 2 graphs. Well, 1 graph and then 1 data chart. And I'm going to walk you through what those are supposed to look like, but what we're going to be focusing on is the national scale. So if you look at the bottom down here of your packet, you're going to see a lot of different categories, a lot of different numbers, but what we're really comparing right now is the national score.
So as you guys, do you mind going back, Ms. Johnson?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Because this is what you will be seeing. There's going to be a fall score. That's from their August test, and then a winter score. And what we're hoping to see is that those numbers are going up. We'll get into that in more detail, but I just wanted to differentiate between the 2 columns.
Yeah, so the blue line also on the graph above. Oh, Miss Luna's going to talk about it. Never mind.
Yep, I will talk about that. So you will have 2 of these reports. It should be somewhere near the top. One will say A reading, and the other will say A math. This assessment allows us to see how the child has grown and it determines their risk level. And based on that, it allows us to determine their appropriate instructional moves and if they need more intervention options, such as tier 2, tier 3 help, more support in the classroom. This
Yeah.
blue dot that is pointed to is your child's current winter score. And like Miss Johnson was saying, this line that is connected to that blue dot, is connected to their fall score that they took at the beginning of the school year. So we are hoping that number went up. This assessment allows us to see your students' growth at a glance, and it can help us determine if we need to put them in a different intervention group. And I'm going to pause right here for about 1 minute just so you guys can compare the scores.
Also, as you're looking at these scores, I'm going to go into detail about what those colors mean. So just look at your child's progress from fall to winter right now.
Yes, so they should have 2 scores, 1 in fall and 1 in winter. And you can tell the difference based on the words on the bottom of this graph. So you'll see fall and winter.
Also, if your child was in a different school, or was absent during the fall screener, they may not have a line. It just means that they did not take the fall test. Hey, Miss Mulvey, can you mute the chat, please? Okay, hopefully you've had a chance to locate those scores and find that blue line. But now I'd like for you to look at the bottom of your report quickly. So again, I said that we're going to be looking at the national scale. This shows your child's national percentile. And as a reminder, the number we utilize is the national percentile. In this example, you can see that the child has grown significantly by moving from a risk level to being on track or on grade level. So I think a lot of times when reading these reports, you see percent. They're not like regular percentages that we look at as like a regular grading scale. So on grade level is like this person is in right here. They scored a 55 on the national scale. And since they are in the green, that means they are on grade level. So it's not really, I would not really pay much attention to the numbers as much as the colors. That will help you understand better. That does not mean this person scored a 55% on the assessment. It just means that they scored out of like in a ranking scale, 55 out of 100 if it were out of 100. I don't know if that makes much sense.
Yeah, I think the biggest key is just to not focus so much on that number, but just more
The color.
did the score go up? Are we in a
Mhm.
different color? A red flag for us would be if you went from green to red, that shows regression. So we just are hoping that score went up.
Yes. So if your child is in the green, that means they are right on track where they need to be. They are on grade level. If they are in the blue, that means they are above grade level, they are advanced, and they are doing really well. Now, if they are below the green, in like I can't remember what the colors are. If I can go back to it, on the bottom here of this slide. So I see like this orangey color, that means like they're right below grade level. And then that maroon color means that they're high risk, that we've got a lot of work to do to get to the green. If you want to go ahead and circle that number that's pointed here, that is your child's score. Oops, sorry. I'm gonna give you a second to circle that number. Okay, Miss Luna.
We are going to talk about CBM reading now. That is curriculum-based measurement for reading, or we call it CBM reading, or sometimes teachers just call it CBM. That is an efficient and effective way to screen and monitor student reading progress. A teacher listens to a student read out loud from a grade level passage. So for example, it would be second grade passage for 1 minute, and they read a different passage 3 times while recording student errors. So if your child gets a word wrong, we do mark it because we are working on accuracy and fluency in second grade.
Great. And then this visual is similar to ones that you've seen in the past. Again, that blue line is your child's scores. Um, but it also this visual is just talking about through different years. So it just breaks it down even farther so that you can see where they started and where they're going. That's kind of their trend line, how they're progressing. So those colors on the bottom, again, they're labeled. So that dark blue is on grade level, light blue is low risk, then that pink is some risk, and that darker red is high risk.
Can you go back one slide? I just want to point out something. I think this is so important. We are really shooting for 114 words per minute in second grade. At the end of the school year, we want our students reading 131 words per minute, and it's tough, but we can get there. We'll give you some more tips at the end of this to help increase this number.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm saying this right, their scores should be on the bottom. So it will be under winter. And that's how many words per minute they're reading currently. And their goal right now is to be 114.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you guys can help your child at home. If your child is in my class, they have heard me say this over and over again to read every single night. They can read for fun. They are allowed to take their library books home, set a timer for 20 minutes, and have them read every day. Have them practice their fluency, their accuracy, their expression. Again, we're encouraging library books. They're allowed to take them home. And for math, we encourage basic addition and subtraction facts. Miss Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, those little flashcards are a great thing to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also have homework every week. Now it is optional. I mean, well, I don't want to say optional. It's not optional, but it's not graded. It will not affect your child's grade. So it's more just practice. But we have one homework sheet that goes home on Mondays, and I collect it on Fridays. I do find that students who complete their homework every week are more likely to do well on the assessments and are able to participate better in class because they are practicing at home. If you have computer access, I assign them lessons on iReady that correlate with what's happening in class. They have iExcel skills that they can work on. And if you ever have any questions about what skills or how to access them, I will be happy to answer any of those questions.
Yes, and with reading, we also send fluency passages home, reviewing that with your child. But in addition to reading for 20 minutes every night, that's why we encourage library books being taken home. Also, to go back on computer access, Lexia is a great program that they can work on the computer for reading.
Yes.
I am going to talk about the importance of reading. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Keep going.
So again, going back to the 20 minutes every single day, this is a data chart that just shows the importance of reading for 20 minutes every single day. So if a student reads for 20 minutes every day, they will hear 1,800,000 words per year. They will have read 851 hours by sixth grade. And on any standardized test, they are likely to score better than 90%. So you can just see compared to the other numbers how important reading is every single night. And again, make it fun. I encourage reading to an adult, to a sibling, to their pet, to a stuffed animal. Just reading out loud really helps them just do better overall in school, including math and science and social studies.
Yeah.
I just wanted to pop in really quick. I'm sorry, guys. Just to piggyback on the homework, our students are also able to take AR test. So if they are reading these library books that they're bringing home, they can take the AR test first thing in the morning or sometime throughout the day. So that's a fun incentive. And I've heard that Mr. Martin has some pretty cool prizes for students who do well on AR tests. So that's another way to get them reading for some fun extra practice.
And then I want to talk about iReady really quickly. So when your child logs into iReady, they choose math, because I don't know if we use it for reading, but we use it a lot in math. But if on the left-hand side of their screen, they'll see these blue lessons. I don't know if you can see these blue lessons. Those are teacher assigned. Those are things that I've assigned to them. There's some current ones and there's some that are past due. Those are the number one priority. I want them to focus on that first. On the green, that says My Path, that is an adaptive path. Kind of, your child takes another exam called the iReady Diagnostic, and they just finished it. But with that, it pinpoints kind of where their learning level is, and it gives them lessons to advance their learning level. It kind of meets them where they are. So that's more adaptive, whereas the lessons that I assign are on grade level, what we are doing in class, or things that we have already done in class. And then,
You might have some questions or concerns, and your student's teacher, your child's teacher, is more than happy to help you answer them. On the top are our reading teachers. You'll see Miss Mulvey, myself, Miss Luna, and Miss Taylor Lloyd. On the bottom, we have our math teachers, Miss Johnson, Miss Aguilar, and Miss Patterson. If you want to just take a picture of this so you can get a copy of our emails, and reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns about your child specifically.
okay, thank you so much for coming and attending this presentation. I just want to talk about our next FastBridge assessment window is in May of 2025. Make sure your child is at school every day to ensure that they are well prepared for their tests. If you have any specific concerns about your child's performance, again, please contact your child's teacher. If you have issues doing that, talk to your child, send a note, and we will make sure that we get back to you. Encourage plenty of rest at the time of the test. Not even just time of the test, but all the time. Appropriate bedtimes and eating nutritious breakfast on testing days. And now, if you have any questions, Miss Mulvey is gonna read those questions for us.
While we're waiting for any potential questions, if you guys have those yellow forms that were sent home on Friday, giving your student permission to participate in this speaking and listening portion of our state assessment, those are due back to school as soon as possible. So now would be a great chance to ask your child, do you have this form? Maybe check in their backpack and just sign it quickly. It'll take you less than 10 seconds to sign. And you guys can send that back tomorrow. Thank you. Someone is asking, how can we log into iReady?
That is a great question. If you have a computer or any kind of computer access at home, if your child is able to get onto ClassLink, that houses all of our apps for that we use in school every day. If they're unable to do that or they don't know their email and password, you can have your child ask their teacher, and we all have a mass list of their username and password so that they can get into ClassLink.
Once you do have access to ClassLink, that's where you can also access iReady and Lexia for reading as well.
Great question.
I'm not
As-
seeing. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, as we're waiting, if you don't mind, if you could click on that link in the chat and fill out the form about this presentation, we would greatly appreciate it.
I'm not seeing any other questions right this moment. So again, like Ms. Johnson and Ms. Luna both said, if you guys have questions or as questions arise, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are stronger together and so thankful for your partnership in your child's education. So please let us know anything you ever need.
I just want to say